Zabupit. We are hearing SRIMAD BHAGAVATAM, fighting between Bhagavan and Hiranyaksha. This is transcendental Lila of Supreme Lord. If we hear this, then we can be rescued from attraction to this worldly fighting. We heard there was a keen rivalry between the two combatants. Both had sustained injuries on their bodies from the blows of each other's pointed maces, and each grew more and more enraged at the smell of blood on his person. In their eagerness to win, they performed maneuvers of various kinds, and their contest looked like an encounter between two forceful bulls for the sake of a cow. Daityasya Yagyavayavasya Maya Grihita Varahatanor Mahatmana Kauravya Mahyam Dvishator Vimardanam Didrikshur Agat Rishibir Vritah Swarat. O descendant of Kuru, means Parikit Maharaj, Brahma, the most independent demigod of the universe, accompanied by his followers, came to see the terrible fight for the sake of the world between the demon and the personality of Godhead, who appeared in the form of a boar. Because Varaha wanted to rescue the earth and bring her up, but Hiranyakashipu opposed. So for that, fighting is there. Asana Shondiram Apeta Sadva Sam Krita Pratikaram Acharya Vikramam Vilakshya Daityam Bhagavan Sahasranir Jagada Narayanam Adi Sukaram. After arriving at the place of combat, Brahma, the leader of thousands of sages and transcendentalists, saw the demon who had attained such unprecedented power that no one could fight with him. Brahma then addressed Narayan, who was assuming the form of a boar for the first time. Brahmovach, Esha te deva devanam angrimulam upeyusham vipranam saurabheyinam bhutanam apya nagasam agaskrit bhaya kritushkrit asmatrada varosuraha anveshan apratiratho lokan atatikantakaha. Lord Brahma said, "My dear Lord, this demon has proved to be a constant pinprick to the demigods, the brahmanas, the cows and innocent persons who are spotless and always dependent upon worshipping your lotus feet. He has become a source of fear by unnecessarily harassing them. Since he has attained a boon from me, he has become a demon, always searching for a proper combatant, wandering all over the universe for this infamous purpose." Mainam mayavinam driptam nirankusham asatamam akrida balavadeva yata shivisham utitam. Lord Brahma continued, "My dear Lord, there is no need to play with this serpentine demon, who is always very skilled in conjuring tricks and is arrogant, self-sufficient, and most wicked. Nayavat esha vardeta swam velam prapya darunaha swam devamayam astaya tavajja hyagham achyuta. Brahma continued, My dear Lord, you are infallible. Please kill this sinful demon before the demoniac hour arrives. And he presents another formidable approach favorable to him. You can kill him by your internal potency without doubt. This is the point. Sometimes there are demoniac hours, they are more strong. And sometimes demigods. So it is always happening in this world. They prevail like this. Esha Goratama Sandhya, Esha Goratama Sandhya, Lokachambat Kari Prabho, Upasarpati Sarvatman, Suranam Jayam Avaha. My Lord, the darkest evening, which covers the world, is fast approaching. Since you are the soul of all souls, kindly kill him and win victory for the demigods. Of course, for Supreme Lord, anytime he can kill. That is no problem for him. This is, they are doing lila. Adhunaisho bijin nama yogo mauhurti kohyagat shivayanastvam suhridam ashunistaradhustaram. The auspicious period known as Abhijit, which is most opportune for victory, commenced at midday and has all but passed. Therefore, in the interest of your friends, please dispose of this formidable foe quickly. Dishtyatam vihitam mrityum ayam asaditah swayam vikramyainam mridehatva lokanadehi sharmani. This demon, luckily for us, has come of his own accord to you. His death ordained by you. Therefore, exhibiting your ways, kill him in the duel and establish the worlds in peace. This is the end of this chapter. Next one, chapter 19. The killing of the demon Hiranyaksha. Maitreya Uvach. Avadharya Virinchasya Nirvyali Kamritam Vachah Prahasya Premagarbhena Tat Upangena So Grahit. Sri Maitreya said, after hearing the words of Brahma, the Creator, which were free from all sinful purposes and as sweet as nectar, the Lord heartily laughed and accepted his prayer with a glance laden with love. Because by the devotion of Brahma, Varaha Bhagavan appeared. Always Supreme Lord appears by the devotion of some devotees. So Brahma was thinking how to create, where to put living entities. Earth is down and he could not find any solution. Then he took absolute shelter of Supreme Lord. Then he appeared from his nostril. So now Supreme Lord will fulfill his desire. Tatah sapatna mukhatash charantam akuto bhayam jhaganot patya gadaya hanau asuram akshaja. The Lord who had appeared from the nostril of Brahma sprang and aimed his mace at the chin of his enemy, the Hiranyaksha demon, who was stalking fearlessly before him. In boxing, if you hit the chin then immediately that person will lose consciousness. Such connection is there. If you hit some other places, then it will not. But Chin is very sensitive for losing consciousness, immediately knockout. So he aimed his mace at the chin of his enemy. Sa hata tena gadaya vihata bhagavat karat vigur nita patat reje tat adbhutam iva bhavat. Struck by the demon's mace, however, the Lord's mace slipped from his hand and looked splendid as it fell down whirling. This was miraculous, for the mace was blazing wonderfully. Sa tada labda tirtopi na babade nirayudham manayan samride dharmam vishwaksenam prakopayan. Even though the demon had an excellent opportunity to strike his unarmed foe without obstruction, he respected the law of single combat, thereby kindling the fury of the Supreme Lord. If another loses his weapon, then it is in fighter's dignity that he will not fight with weapon. He will also throw it and will fight with hands. That is proper fighting dignity. But nowadays in Kali Yuga, all kind of cheating is used just to win. There is no dignity. From behind, low blows by any kind of trick. So that is not same as dignified fighting. Gadayam apavidhayam haha kare vinirgate manayam asatadharmam sunabham chasmarad vibhu. As the Lord's mace fell to the ground and a cry of alarm arose from the witnessing crowd of gods and rishis, they were all seeing fight. The personality of Godhead acknowledged the demon's love of righteousness and therefore invoked his Sudarshan discus. Tam Vyagra Chakram Diti Putradhamena Swaparshada Mukhena Vishajamanam Chitra Vacho Tadvidam Ke Charanam Tatra Smasan Swastitemum Jahite. As the discus began to revolve in the Lord's hands, and the Lord contended at close quarters with the chief of his Vaikuntha attendants, who had been born as Hiranyaksha, a wild son of Diti, there issued from every direction strange expressions uttered by those who were witnessing from airplanes. They had no knowledge of the Lord's reality, and they cried, "May victory attend you! Pray dispatch him! Play no more with him!" Contended at close quarters with the chief of his Vaikuntha, means a demon. In fighting, there are many distances also. Like distance, and then close distance, then clinch, and then ground, many distances. And fighting is different in each of these distances. So this was close quarters. Sa tam nishamyata ratangam agrato vyavastitam padma palashalochanam vilokya Chamarsha Pariplutendriyo Rusha Swadanta Chadam Adasha Shvasan. When the demon saw the personality of Godhead, who had eyes just like lotus petals, standing in position before him, armed with his Sudarshan discus, his senses were overpowered by indignation. He began to hiss like a serpent, and he bit his lips in great resentment. Karala damstrash chakshurbyam shanchakshano dahan iva abiplutya swagadaya khato siti ahana dharim. The demon, who had fearful tasks, stared at the personality of Godhead as though to burn him. Springing into the air, he aimed his mace at the Lord, exclaiming at the same time, "You are slain." Yes, here he did not yet, I made mistake before, not yet throw the weapons. That will come later, I think. But he did not immediately want to strike when he saw that Bharat Bhagavan lost that mace. So that was the point. But also in dignified fighting, if someone loses weapon and he has no other weapon, then this one will also throw. I think this will come little later here in this fight also. Pada savyena tam sadho Bhagavan yagya sukara Lilaya mishata shatro praharat vata ram hasam. O saintly Vidur, while his enemy looked on, the Lord in his boar form, the enjoyer of all sacrificial offerings, playfully knocked down the mace with his left foot, even as it came upon him with the force of a tempest. Knocked down that weapon. Aha chayudham adhatsva gatasva tvam jigi shasi iti uktah satada bhuyas tadayan vyanadat brisham. The Lord then said, "Take up your weapon and try again, eager as you are to conquer me." Challenged in these words, the demon aimed his mace at the Lord and once more loudly roared. This is also dignified fighting. You take your weapon and try again. He did not kill him at that time, unarmed. Tam sa apatatim vikshya Bhagavan samavastita jagraha lilaya praptam garut man iva panagim. When the Lord saw the mace flying toward him, he stood firmly where he was and caught it with the same ease as Garuda, the king of birds, would seize a serpent. If you find some snake and ready to bite you, always you have to loudly chant Garuda, 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 then you will be saved. Even Ramachandra, when he was bound by snakes there in the fighting with Ravan, then Garuda came and rescued. Garuda is the enemy of snakes. So loudly you have to chant Garuda, Garuda, then snake will not bite you if you sincerely take shelter of Garuda. So he, with the same ease, he caught that mace as Garuda sees a serpent. Sva Paurushe Pratihate Hata Mano Mahasura Naichad Gadam Diyamanam Harina Vigata Prabha. Even you know that Kalia, snake, very powerful snake, but he was afraid of Garuda. So he came to Kalia, means to that Kalia Hrada, that lake in Vrindavan, because that Sobari Rishi cursed Garuda that he cannot come there. So there he was safe. Otherwise, Garuda would eat him. So powerful is Garuda. So when Krishna danced on top of Kalia snake, then he subdued him, and then Krishna told him, now go back to your place. Then Kalia said, no, then Garuda will eat me. Then Krishna said, no, now he will see my footprints on your head. So don't worry, he will not eat you. His valor thus frustrated. The great demon felt humiliated and was put out of countenance. He was reluctant to take back the mace when it was offered by the personality of Godhead. Krishna, means Supreme Lord, gave that mace to him, but he did not want to accept. Jagrahat Rishikam Shulam Jvalana Lolupam Yagyaya Drita Rupaya Viprayabi Charan Yatha. He now took a trident, which was as rapacious as a flaming fire, and hurled it against the Lord, the enjoyer of all sacrifices, even as one would use penance for a malevolent purpose against the holy Brahmana. Tat ojasa daitya mahabhatarpitam chakasat antah ka udirna diditi chakrena chicheda nishatanemina harir yata tarksha patatram ujitam. Hurled by the mighty demon with all his strength, the flying trident shone brightly in the sky. The personality of Godhead, however, tore it to pieces with his discus Sudarshan, which had a sharp-edged rim, even as Indra cut off a wing of Garuda when they were fighting. That was also here in commentary Sai Maharaj is telling. The context of the reference given herein regarding Garuda and Indra is this. Once upon a time, Garuda, the carrier of the Lord, snatched away a nectar pot from the hands of the demigods in heaven in order to liberate his mother, Vinata, from the clutches of his stepmother Kadru, the mother of the serpents. On learning of this, Indra, the king of heaven, hurled his thunderbolt against Garuda. With a view to respect the infallibility of Indra's weapon, Garuda, though otherwise invincible, being the Lord's own mount, dropped one of his wings, which was shattered to pieces by the thunderbolt. The inhabitants of higher planets are so sensible that even in the process of fighting, they observe the preliminary rules and regulations of gentleness. In this case, Garuda wanted to show respect for Indra, since he knew that Indra's weapon must destroy something. He offered his wing. Also one time, there is a pastime that Garuda and Sudarshan, they were proud. Garuda was proud that I rescued Ramachandra from those serpents. Then Hanuman, that is all lila between devotees. So Hanuman once came to Dwaraka to get darshan of Krishna. There he took Garuda also and put him under armpit. and he took Sudarshan on his finger. So powerful was. Then Krishna understood that Hanuman is coming, and he said to Satyabhama to become Sita, but she could not, because she was also proud. So then she had to hide behind the bed, and then Rukmini could take the form of Sita. And when Hanuman came, then Krishna was Ramachandra and Rukmini was Sita. Sometimes they play such pastimes. Srila Maharaj explained in details how that took place. Vrikne svashule bahudharina hareh pratyetya vistirnam uro vibhutimat pravrida rosha sakatora mushtina nadam prahrityanta radhi yatasura. The demon was enraged when his trident was cut to pieces by the discus of the personality of Godhead. He therefore advanced toward the Lord and, roaring aloud, struck his hard fist against the Lord's broad chest, which bore the mark of Srivatsa. Then he went out of sight. Tene tham ahatah kshatar Bhagavan adi sukara nakampata manakvapi sraja hata iva dvipa. Hit in this manner by the demon, O Vidur, the Lord, who had appeared as the firstborn, did not feel the least quaking in any part of his body, any more than an elephant would when struck with a wreath of flowers. Does not feel anything. Like garland, if you throw to elephant, then nothing. Same here. Atho rudha srijan mayam yoga mayeshware haro yam vilokya prajastrasta menire syo pasamya mam. The demon, however, employed many conjuring tricks against the personality of Godhead, who is the Lord of Yogamaya. At the sight of this, the people were filled with alarm and thought that the dissolution of the universe was near. Here in commentary, the fighting enjoyment of the Supreme Lord with his devotee, who had been converted into a demon, appeared severe enough to bring about the dissolution of the universe. This is the greatness of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even the wavering of his little finger appears to be a great and very dangerous movement in the eyes of the inhabitants of the universe. Pravavur Vayavash Chandas Tamah Pam Savam Airayam Digbyo Nipetur Gravana Kshepanai Prahita Iva. Fierce winds began to blow from all directions, spreading darkness occasioned by dust and hail storms. Stones came in volleys from every corner, as if thrown by machine guns. Diaur nashta bagana braughei savidyut stanayi nubih varshadbih puya keshasrik vin mutrastini chasakrit. The luminaries in outer space disappeared due to the skies being overcast with masses of clouds which were accompanied by lightning and thunder. The sky rained pus, hair, blood, stool, urine and bones. The magic of demon. Girayah pratya drishyanta nanayuda muchonagha dikvasaso yatudhanya shulinyo mukta murdaja, means black magic. O sinless Vidur, mountains discharged weapons of various kinds, and naked demonesses armed with tridents appeared with their hair hanging loose. Bahubir yaksha rakshobih patyashva rata kunjare atatayibir utsrishta himsra vacho tivai shasa. Cruel and savage slogans were uttered by hosts of ruffian yakshas and rakshasas, who all either marched on foot or rode on horses, elephants or chariots. This is also one kind of service, to chant slogans. Just today I heard from one class of Srila Sridhar Maharaj that chanting slogan is also service to country. If you cannot do any other service, then at least you chant slogan. So now in Kali Yuga we are so degraded that we can do only kirtan, chanting slogans, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. That will also be considered a service and we can be rescued. We are not eligible for any service in other ages. They were more pure, they could do, but we can only chant slogans, but that is also service. Pradush kritanam mayanam asurinam vinashayat sudarshanastram bhagavan prayunkta daitam tripat. The Lord, the personal enjoyer of all sacrifices, now discharged his beloved Sudarshan, which was capable of dispersing the magical forces displayed by the demon. It happened when Dhruva also was fighting with Yakshas and Rakshas. They also employed this black magic and he also was bewildered. Then they advised him, you have to use the weapon of Narayan, holy name. Then by that he could remove that. Here also Sudarshan removes this. Tadaditeh samabhavat sahasa hridi vipatu smarantya bhartur adesham stana chasrik prasusruve. At that very moment, a shudder suddenly ran through the heart of Diti, the mother of Hiranyaksha. She recalled the words of her husband Kashyap, and blood flowed from her breasts. Here in commentary, at Hiranyaksha's last moment, his mother Diti remembered what her husband had said. Although her sons would be demons, they would have the advantage of being killed by the personality of Godhead himself. She remembered this incident by the grace of the Lord, and her breasts flowed blood instead of milk. In many instances, we find that when a mother is moved by affection for her sons, milk flows from her breast. In the case of the demon's mother, the blood could not transform into milk, but it flowed down her breasts as it was. Blood transforms into milk. To drink milk is auspicious, but to drink blood is inauspicious. Although they are one and the same thing. This formula is applicable in the case of cow's milk also. But as we heard, if cow is very much afraid, then that is like a blood. No affection, so it does not transform. Vinashtasu swamayasu bhuyaschavraja keshavam rusho pagu hamano mum dadrishyavastitam bahih. When the demon saw his magic forces dispelled, he once again came into the presence of the personality of Godhead Keshava, and full of rage, tried to embrace him with his arms to crush him. But to his great amazement, he found the Lord standing outside the circle of his arms. So this is the magic of Supreme Lord. Tam mushtibir vinignantam vajra sarair adokshaja karena karna mulehan yatha tvashtram marut patih. The demon, when you are in clinch fighting that distance, then you try to get inner embrace. That will be more advantageous. So you have to move your hand. So he also tried to embrace him. Then you can either crush or throw or anything. But he saw when he embraced, then he was already outside of his circle. That is magic of Supreme Lord. The demon now began to strike the Lord with his hard fists, but Lord Adokshaja slapped him in the root of the ear, even as Indra, the Lord of the Maruts, hit the demon Vritra, son of Tvasta, that is Vritrasur. He slapped the ear. Sa ahato vishwajita hi avagyaya paribramat gatra udastalochana vishirna bahu angri shiroruhopatat yatha nagendro lulito nabasvata. Though struck indifferently by the Lord, the conqueror of all, the demon's body began to wheel. His eyeballs bulged out of their sockets, his arms and legs broken, and the hair on his head scattered. He fell down dead, like a gigantic tree uprooted by the wind. Bol Shri Baraha Bhagavan Ki Jai. Though struck indifferently means not with much attention and effort and this, but that was enough to kill such formidable demon. Yes, here it does not take even a moment for the Lord to kill any powerful demon, including Hiranyaksha. The Lord could have killed him long before, but he allowed the demon to display the full extent of his magical feats. His inconceivable power, as displayed here, is so strong that the demon, despite all his demoniac maneuvers, was killed by the Lord when the Lord desired simply by one slap. Kshitau shayanam tam akuntavarchasam karala damstram paridashta dachadam ajadayo vikshya shashamsur agata aho imam ko nu labheta samstitim. Aja, that is Brahma, one who is not born, and others arrived on the spot to see the fearfully tasked demon lying on the ground, beating his lip, that is sign of anger. The glow of his face was yet unfaded, and Brahma admiringly said, "Oh, who could meet such blessed death?" Because he was killed by Supreme Lord. Yam yogino yoga samadhi naraho dhyayanti lingat asato mumukshaya tasyaisha daitya rishabah padahato mukham prapashyam stanum utsa sarjaha. Brahma continued. He was struck by a forefoot of the Lord, whom yogis, seeking freedom from their unreal material bodies, meditate upon in seclusion in mystic trance. While gazing on his countenance, this crest jewel of Diti's sons has cast off his mortal coil. Here in commentary, the process of yoga is very clearly described in this verse of SRIMAD Bhagavatam. It is said here that the ultimate end of the yogis and mystics who perform meditation is to get rid of this material body. Therefore, they meditate in secluded places to attain yogic trance, samadhi. Yoga has to be performed in a secluded place, not in public or in a demonstration on stage, as nowadays practiced by many so-called yogis. Real yoga aims at ridding one of the material body. Yoga practice is not intended to keep the body fit and young. All those asanas are meant so that you can stay in Sukhasana or Padmasana for the sake of meditation. And pranayama is also not aimed for health, although it also has health benefits, but it is to cool down the mind so you can meditate. Such advertisements of so-called yoga are not approved by any standard method. Particularly mentioned in this verse is the word yam, or unto whom, indicating that meditation should be targeted on the personality of Godhead. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, of all the yogis, those who meditate upon me with faith, they are the best. Even if one concentrates his mind on the boar form of the Lord, that is also yoga. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, one who concentrates his mind constantly in meditation upon the personality of Godhead, in one of his many varieties of forms, is the first-class yogi, and he can very easily attain trance simply by meditating upon the form of the Lord. If one is able to continue such meditation on the Lord's form at the time of one's death, one is liberated from this mortal body and is transferred to the kingdom of God. This opportunity was given to the demon by the Lord, and therefore Brahma and other demigods were astonished, because he was killed by him. He got same goal, same result. In other words, the perfection of yoga practice can be attained by a demon also if he is simply kicked by the Lord, means killed. meditation, you have to withdraw from all these external objects and all this and go inside, and then you have to meditate in a secluded place. But then the real problem starts. When you meditate, then from within you, so many desires are appearing, very strong, and they appear as very like rational or worthy of fulfilling them. But that is a trick of Maya for yogis. Some desire will appear and it will look it is very good that you have to fulfill this. But if you can tolerate that and continue with meditation, then other will come. Again, it will look like very good in this way. Then after so much time, then they will be subdued. Then you can get peace, like Siddhartha Gautama Buddha also. He was attacked by many desires. Some say they appeared in a form outside and they are from inside, so you have to tolerate them. If you fulfill, then you lose. You cannot be liberated. So that is very difficult now in Kali Yuga. So for us, this chanting of Harinam is prescribed, and also congregational chanting. That will be more powerful than in lonely place. You will be attacked, but in association of devotees, you will get strength. And you can get this result of concentration on Supreme Lord by loud chanting. But this process depends whether we have faith or not, or how much we have faith, or how much we are surrendered to Krishna. Up to that degree, we get the result. If there is no result, there is some defect in our surrender, not in the that this process is not powerful. As I told some days back, fire is powerful, it can burn anything. But if you are at a distance, you are not close, then you cannot get the result of heat of fire. Like that, how much we can surrender to Supreme Lord, that much we will be cleared of all these things. Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Depends on surrender, degree. Sometimes we hear this process is not working. I'm still having this and this and this. Means not that process is not working, but we are not doing with surrender. So we cannot get that result. Or some offenses are there. Ajamil got immediately because he had no offenses. But if offenses are present, then it will not immediately cure you, liberate you. Eto to parshado asya shapat yato asad gatim punah katipayeh stanam prapatsite ha janmabih. These two personal assistants of the Supreme Lord, having been cursed, have been destined to take birth in demoniac families. After a few such births, they will return to their own positions. After 3 births, Deva Uchuh. Namo namaste kila yagya tantave stito grihitamala sattva murtaye dishtya hato yam jagatam arun tudas tvat pada bhaktya vayam isha nirvritaha. The demigods addressed the Lord. All obeisances unto you. You are the enjoyer of all sacrifices, and you have assumed the form of a boar in pure goodness for the purpose of maintaining the world. Fortunately for us, this demon, who was a torment to the worlds, has been slain by you, and we too, O Lord, are now at ease in devotion to your lotus feet. All these demons, they are coming, they can be killed by Krishna. That is why Haridas Thakur also was attacked by Maya Devi herself. But because he was fully surrendered to Krishna, he could conquer. He blessed her. But if someone is not surrendered, then those who are doing meditation, they say you need much determination and power and all this. Even they say, and God's help to overcome all those desires which will appear from within. Even they say in this, in God's help. But for devotees, really it is. If you are surrendered to Him, serving Him, then by His grace you can conquer all these desires. Otherwise it is impossible. Mama Maya Durateya, very difficult to cross, means impossible to cross over Maya unless one surrenders to Krishna. Even yogis, jnanis, they will come to certain point of liberation by their own effort. But they will fall down from there again if they don't take shelter of Supreme Lord. If they commit offense, thinking, I got this liberation by my own effort. I'm supreme reality. I'm self-dependent, all this. That kind of thinking is also offense to Supreme Lord. So because of that, they have to get lesson and they will also fall down. But only devoted, Brahma said in that 10th canto, those who take shelter of Krishna, by His grace, they have no fear. They never fall down and they conquer everything. Tomorrow is Lalita Saptami, appearance day of Lalita Sakhi, so we'll hear about her.